So the ability to move your player to the next or previous edit point within Premiere Pro might seem like quite an easy thing to do. But if you want to do it within Extendscript, there are some nuanced things that we need to look at. Easiest I think this is going to be is if I just draw a little picture. So basically what we're going to do to determine the edit point that we need to move to is we're actually going to get the position of the player, right? And then we're going to go and get all of the start ticks for our clips, right? So basically we're going to have all of these guys in an array. Bam, bam, and bam. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the difference between our player and these points, right? And then we will make the decision. Do we want to move to the right or the left, right? So these are our clips. These are our edit points. Let's just give them some other colors. Cool, cool. This is our player. And basically we want to move this guy now to the right, to the next edit point, or to the left, the previous edit point. And the little algorithm that I'm going to explain to you to do this is going to take the difference between the current playhead, right? So this little yellow line that I've got going here, and all of the right lines. Then if we want to move right, you'll see that the difference between the current playhead, say for this example it's at 10 seconds, and this red one is at 11, then the 10 minus 11 is going to be negative, right? So if we want to move right, we're going to filter for all the negative edit points, the difference between the current player and the edit points. And if we want to move left, you can see that this player minus this edit point or minus that is going to be positive, right? Because this being 10, 9, 8. So then we are going to be able to filter for all of the edit points that are right of the playhead and all of the edit points that are left of the playhead. And then we need to determine which is the closest one to the playhead. And to do that, we're just going to sort ascending and descending. So there's a little finicky thing there because all of the clips on the right is going to be negative. We need to descendingly sort, whereas the clips on the left are going to be ascendingly sort. Cool, so that's basically the idea that we're doing here. And we're going to do that in some Extendscript code. Awesome. So as always, we upload these scripts that we've got to our GitHub page. So feel free to check that out, link in the description. And if there are any videos that you are interested in us to make, to explain to you any Extendscript that you're struggling with, feel free to open an issue on the GitHub page and we'll get looking at it. Cool. So moving the edit point left and right. So we're going to follow the same little song and dance that we've done in the moving clip to random position video, where we create this array called start ticks and basically just get all the start ticks of all the clips on the timeline, right? So we loop through all the tracks, then we loop through all the clips on that track and just append the start ticks to this start ticks array. Cool. Then we go and get our current player position, right, as I mentioned, and here the little fun algorithm starts. Okay, so arrays within JavaScript work in an interesting way. Right, so the easiest way I think to explain to you how arrays within JavaScript work might just be to open a little console. So if you ever want to just dummy some JavaScript, always just go into a browser, inspect element, and there you've got a JavaScript console, right? So I'm just going to go and create a little array over here. Let me maybe make this a bit bigger and put this guy to the side. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm going to make an array 1, 2, 3. Awesome, 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 awesome. So this array has now been created and I've got access to it. So if I want to apply a function, if I want to do something to each value within that array, within JavaScript, we use what is called map. And basically we're going to map each value within the array to another value, hence the name, right? But now JavaScript is an event-driven language, so it's a bit of a weird one. We're going to use what they call a callback function. And basically we need to give this map method a function to use to alter each value within the array, right? So how that's going to look is we're actually going to type out function here. our function is going to take a value. We've got a nice little video on functions within Extendscript, so just check that out. That's the basics within Extendscript, I think. I don't know. Cool. Right, so we're gonna map and we've got our function, and over here we just need to declare a value. So for now I'm just gonna call it v, and that's basically the value that's gonna be passed into our function, right? So what we then can do is our function needs to return something, and for example if I do v plus 1, then you can see that actually all of my values in my original array gets plus 1, right? So this is how we are going to determine the difference between all of the edit points within our edit ticks or our start ticks array, this guy, the start ticks array. We're actually going to go and map this. Okay, so we're taking our start ticks array, mapping it and returning the value. So here I've written out the full value, not just v, putting it value, and we're minusing the current player position. So do take caution when using the Extendscript API of Premiere Pro. When you're using the time objects, seconds will be a number, but ticks needs to be a string, right? So hence I'm just making 100% sure that all of our math works out, because JavaScript, quite a lenient language, is not going to complain if you are subtracting a string from a string. So I'm just making sure that we've got numbers here. So I'm saying number value minus number current player. Cool. So let me put a little breakpoint in there for us, give this guy a run. I'm going to our edit points. Shooby-doop. And if we go and inspect our difference array, which is this guy, cool. You'll see that we've got the difference between the current and the player, right? So we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 negative values here. So if we just hop back into Premiere Pro, we'll see that yes, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 players with their start ticks left of the playhead, right? So coming back to our little algorithm that we said, we've now identified that these guys will be less than 0. Cool. The difference, right? And these guys are going to be greater than 0. Cool. So now we figured out a way how to filter for the edit points on the left and the edit points on the right. Cool. Now we need to figure out which is the closest edit point to the playhead. Okay. So first we're going to just decide on a direction here. So within Extendscript, I've just created this direction variable. And then if we want to go left, then we're going to be filtering for all of the values less than 0, right? So it's all of these guys if we're going to go left. And if we want to go right, which is in this little else block over here, we're going to be going right. So this filter within JavaScript, Extendscript, works in the same little funky way that map does. So if I go and filter here within my console, then I'm also going to need a function, right? And this function needs to return true or false if something is, if you want that value filtered within your array. Okay, so if I were to say, let's go and get all the values greater than 1, boom, 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 in this little example over here, you'll see that my original array having values 1, 2, 3, now only returns 2 and 3 because this condition is only met for those 2 values. Similarly, if I were to make this 2, I'll get only 3. Cool. So that's what happening. That is what is happening with this filter function over here. We got this function, the v, and then we only returning if v is less than 0, right? So a little nuanced thing here, I'm not including equal to 0, because then we will actually get where the edit point is currently. So the difference between where the current edit point is and the player position is, if we are on an edit point, will obviously be 0, and we don't want to have that. We actually want to move to the previous one. So I'm just doing strictly less than, not less than and equal. Super. So now we've been able to filter for all of our clips on the left if we were wanting to our left or to right. And now we need to figure out how to get to the closest one. Okay, so in the case of us going left, right, these values are negative. So we need to have the largest value. So that's like a little unintuitive thing. The smallest value is actually going to be the furthest away because that's going to be the most negative value. So to get this guy, we need to sort descending, right? Okay. So to do that within JavaScript, we are going to use the sort method. And this is a bit of a funky one, right? This is a bit unintuitive, but as it is JavaScript, we've got this event-driven language. And to do sorting, we also need a callback function. And this callback function takes two values, A and B. Cool, so if I want to sort this array that I've got, 1, 2, 3, in a descending way, we're going to do B minus A. So we might do a bit of a more in-depth video down the line on arrays and all their funky methods. But for now, know that if you want to sort descending, it's B minus A in this callback function. And if you want to sort ascending, it's going to be A minus B. Oh yeah. Cool. So we're on here and we want to be sorting descending, right? Because we're on the left. So we want to have the highest value within our 0th element, right? So this next line that we've got on here is actually going to go and determine the difference that we want to use. Right, so we've got this whole big list of all the differences to the left, and now we've sorted it descending, meaning that at the top, at the 0th element, which we're going to be addressing, we've actually got this guy, this number closest to the player position. So I'm going to go, we've got an array, a big array now with all of the values to the left. And I'm saying, cool, we've sorted them descendingly, so give me the 0th value. We could have gone and sorted them ascendingly and then given me the final value. But then I would have had to done a few extra lines of code to actually determine how long is my array. So doing the array.length -1 to get the final value. Easier for me to just sort descending and take the 0th value. And then just keep in mind, we've been working with the differences of all these edit points, so not the actual edit points. So to actually get the edit point to move to, we just need to add the current player position. And you see here, I'm casting it to a number again, seeing that this current player position isn't ticks and will be a string. Super, boom, 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 and there we are, we have arrived. So if I were to go and set this guy to left, Premiere Pro, I'm in here, and if I go and execute my code, move to edit point, then we will actually move to the previous edit point. Very cool, very cool. And as always, this within its own, not super useful, but incorporating it into your workflow, using something like the Automator Plus extension, where you can assign these to a hotkey, is super useful. So what I've done here is just wrapped this code that we've just written into a little function called move to edit point, and it takes the direction. So we can actually just go and copy this, add a little custom Extendscript automation within our Automator Plus, and here we can actually call it left. So move to left edit point, call that an L. Let's go and put that in the shot selection group. There we go. So now if I actually go and move left, then I will move to the left edit point. Similarly, if I want to go right, then I can go and do, and instead of that, we're going right. Right. So this move to edit point is now actually the method that I declared within this Extendscript script, and then move to right. Awesome. Assign that the shortcut key of R within the shot selection, so you can very easily sort of skim left and right. So again, not super useful on its own, but incorporating this within some other automations and within your workflow, using the nuanced little tricks of saying, okay, now we know how to identify the next edit point. You can start doing things like add a transition to the next edit point or add an effect to the clip at the next edit point. So this ability to determine which edit point is right or left of the playhead has got a lot more usages than just moving the player head.